The Norwegian FA claim Euro 2020 has been postponed until next year. Welcome back to Sky Sports News. As expected, the Euros are being pushed back to next summer. We'll bring you more from the UEFA meeting and look at what the delay means for sport.
But the rest of the day's news too, as horse racing is suspended in the UK and boxing events are cancelled, and a huge moment in the NFL. The six-time Super Bowl winner Tom Brady announces he's leaving the New England Patriots. A reaction coming up to that later this hour.
Well, let's get straight to that big story then. Brian Swanson is with me, Geraint Hughes is with me here, and let's get more on Euro 2020, or, as maybe it's now called, Euro 2021. Brian, let's come to you first. Norwegian FA, the ones to break this news. What do we know about this big UEFA conference call meeting?
What we know is that this morning UEFA held a conference call with the European Club Association and with the European Leagues and FIFPro, the World Players Union. They then had a call from midday our time with all 55 associations in European football. Now, up until 10 minutes ago, that conversation was still taking place. The Norwegian FA decided to post on their Twitter feeds that the European Championships will be postponed until June, July next year. We should point out that UEFA have still to confirm this, and technically, the UEFA Executive Committee haven't yet signed this off. They haven't yet decided it. The expectation, though, is that clearly they will. That's what's been communicated to the associations. That's how we now know through the platform of social media. And the expectation being now that a working group will be established to work through the fixture implications of this and the financial implications of this too. But we just need to wait now for UEFA to come out and confirm what the Norwegian FA have said. This isn't a big surprise. This was expected. Football wanted a degree of certainty in what is a very uncertain time at the moment. So the fact that the European Championships have been postponed was likely, because ultimately, what were they going to do with it this summer? There's still so much uncertainty both around Europe and the world as to what's happening with this coronavirus pandemic. This seems, football will say, the most sensible solution, and it will now try to free up some potential fixture dates for those competitions to try and finish their season.
So this is about clarity. That's what football needs, sport needs, in an uncertain time. Does this give us clarity, Geraint?
Yes and no. How grey could I be on that one? I'll explain myself. Yes, it does, because Brian is very eloquently just sort of, you know, with what we know now, and obviously yet to be sort of ratified by UEFA, their executive committee at the moment, but it's been one of, I suppose, one of the worst kept secrets of the last week, hasn't it, that the Euro 2020 was going to be postponed. Looking at the sporting calendar for next year, as I was mentioning earlier, there are no mega events. Now, when it came mega events, it's Olympics, it's World Cups, arguably a European Championships as well. These are the events that are truly global, with athletes from all over the planet. Huge commercial revenues, huge sponsorship, huge broadcast as well. They are, you know, the likes of the Olympics, World Cup are the set above the rest. There are none of those next year. Looking at the calendar, and as Brian mentioned there, it's looking like there are going to be two working groups set up, one specifically to look at the calendar, the fixtures. We're hearing June 11th, June to July 11th next year. There aren't too many clashes. The one thing I was thinking it could clash with, which could potentially be used as a positive, was the UEFA Women's European Championships, due to be hosted by England next year. Now, they don't begin until July the 7th. So at the moment, if those dates that we're led to believe by Norway, that have been mooted by Norway, become true, there'll be a 4-day crossover. But, you know, could there be some way, if you wait for it, looking at sort of not necessarily amalgamation of the two tournaments, but bringing them together, you know, taking a negative and making a positive? I said there were no mega events. There is one event which sticks out to me, which could cause problems, because it's not controlled by UEFA, but it is a big footballing event, or FIFA hope it to be a big footballing event. It's the FIFA World Club Cup, the new revamped version of that, which is due to start on the 17th of June and go through to the 4th of July. So it doesn't take a genius to know that is slap bang in the middle of any rearranged European Championships, or Euro 2021, as you coined it a moment ago, Rob. So yes, it can be done, but there's going to have to be a degree of politics with the likes of FIFA, with the likes of other sporting federations there that are running some events as well. Maybe within UEFA as well. Maybe they won't necessarily see the way of bringing the women's and the men's Euros together.
Is there another fly in the ointment of 21 from Amsterdam through to Baku, Budapest, Bucharest, through London, Dublin, Glasgow?
Yeah.
These stadia multi-use. We have pop concerts and other events that are booked at these venues sometimes years in advance. Will these all have to be shifted?
Oh, this is one for the working group. I'm going to unashamedly bring Brian here on this one, but this will definitely be for the working group, because undoubtedly, let's just look at some of the stadiums that are being used. Wembley Stadium is very much a multi-purpose stadium. When there are no events being used at Wembley for sport, it's not just football, but it's taken over for a series of concerts because they lose the pitch, don't they, Brian? And they tend to shed them together.
What I think is important to stress is that I doubt today was the first time that those dates were just landed on people. There will have been talks taking place over the last week or so where the suggestion of the 11th of June to 11th of July would have been put to those associations, who in turn would have then gone to seek the availability of the stadium at that time. It would be a big surprise if this was just a big surprise to them. I think there will have been talks that have been taking place on this. On the point on FIFA, what I was told over the weekend is that senior figures within UEFA and FIFA have been talking over this. So again, it would be a big surprise if FIFA turned around this afternoon and said, I can't believe you've just done this in the middle of the Club World Cup. So the suspicion being there that perhaps a deal has been done with them already. We just don't know about it yet.
Who trumps who here? Because FIFA are the world governing body, but the Euros are a bigger tournament.
Brian, there's been some edge.
There has been a lot of edge between
the two organisations.
Yeah, I think the key point here was the message that was put to me over the weekend, that football needs to come together. And Gianni Infantino said it in a letter to all associations and confederations last night. So the Club World Cup, given the fact it was going to be a new format, given the fact it was going to be a new time of the year, that would appear to be the most flexible. Of course, what we don't know are the contractual arrangements that have been set up with the Chinese, because I think it was due to be in China from memory. So that will have a direct impact. But UEFA clearly feel that they need to do something to try to give European
crossover between calendar and the finances as well. It's far easier for a country, say, like the UK, to move around. Say they do want to hold the Euros in as many stadiums as possible in 2021 as in 2020. It may come to pass that it won't be hosted in as many venues as 2020. It may be fewer venues. It'll be easier for a country like the UK, England, Wembley. Say there is a very popular pop group that wants to play at Wembley Stadium. It may be easier for them to find a stadium of 70, 80,000 not too far away from Wembley than it would be, say, in Baku, where there is only one stadium of, just over 50,000. So the infrastructure, say, in the UK allows the flexibility. Yes, there are going to have to be some serious contractual talks, but in terms of those
the FA won't want to lose the crown jewel of the semi-final and the finals being played at.
That's where they'll go into bat and try and try and secure those events. But if, say, they had Pop Group A playing on a date, listen, the contracts can be changed, we know that, but it will be easier in the UK for them to be moved from Wembley to a venue of a similar size than it would be in several other countries within Europe. So I'm sure one thing that will be the final call of the day, won't it, Brian, in terms of when the executive of UEFA come together, those kind of details will be taught. I think at the moment we're slightly speculating, but it's definitely a potential concern for some of the smaller nations that were due to hold the European Championships.
And the key point here, Rob and Geraint, is that throughout the weekend, officials have been at pains to point out to me that this is all done amid the backdrop of what we are seeing around the world. We are seeing people dying. Lives are at risk here. They know that. They are not trying to say that the football machine just rolls on irrespective of anything. But what they have been trying to do was give a degree of clarity to those competitions, to those associations, to those people who ultimately rely on the income stream from the European Championships, to give them something to look ahead to and something to plan. They are not in any way dismissing what is happening around the world, but they're just simply doing what they believe to be the right thing, which is to try to give some degree of
And
confirmation.
what Brian's saying there is, given everything that's going on, but the 55 member associations will be looking at their finances. The middle to smaller size associations, they would far prefer a European Championships to take place. The revenue stream that will allow, because UEFA funds the member associations in varying different ways, especially probably the more, I don't want to use the word powerful, but the bigger nations like your Germanys, your English football associations, etc., your Italian associations as well. The fact that there will be a championships to look forward to, a revenue stream, they will far rather that than maybe the semantics of exactly who and where is necessarily hosting the championships come 2021.
Yeah, and let's just bring you an additional piece of information. This is coming from the Swedish FA chairman, Karl-Erik Nielsen, who said in a message to Reuters, this was during a UEFA video conference call, so this is to the Reuters news agency, Karl-Erik Nielsen said, postponed until the 11th of the 6th till the 11th of the 7th, 2021, so that fits in with you guys, and then said, we'll get back to you after the meeting. We'll get back to you when we get some more